welcome back.
Hello.
Today we are going to talk about the brain and how anxiety works in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a wonderful book called Your Fantastic Elastic Brain. Go closer. Okay, by Joanne Deak, D-A-K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm using this, and I know there's all ages of people watching.
Right.
So yes, this is a book geared towards children, but it has wonderful illustrations that make it a lot easier to explain how the brain works. Okay, my mask on. So, I'm so used to it. I think we're all so used to it now. But
Seriously.
yes. So one of the things that I want to get into, what we're going to be talking about, is how anxiety works inside our brain. Okay, I am not a specialist. I'm not an expert on brain sciences and all that kind of stuff. So if there's anybody out there who is, send me an email.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But
So if I'm missing anything or mess up anything, let me know. But this is what I know. So I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see how this works. Okay. So our brain is broken up into different areas. The blue area right here, the cerebellum, is the largest part of our brain and helps you think and speak. Okay. The cerebellum, this right here, the red stuff, this is all about movement, balance, doing that kind of stuff. Okay. Prefrontal cortex, that is our reasoning and understanding, our decision making. Okay, and that's going to be very important. Okay, and the hippocampus, this green wormy looking thing, right? That's our memory bank. And this tiny little thing right here, this yellow thing right here, is the amygdala. And it actually means almond. I don't know which language it is, but it actually means almond because it's the size of an almond. And that is your emotional center. Okay, right here. Right. So if anybody's seen the movie Inside Out,
love that movie.
fantastic movie, everybody should see it.
Another great one.
And they talked about the memory balls that they have and how they're attached to all emotions. The reason why is because this green thing is your memories and it's attached to your amygdala, your emotional center. So that's why a lot of our memories can trigger and bring up a lot of our emotions. They're sort of tied together right here. Okay, so that's very important to know because that plays a role in how we understand anxiety. So what happens is, and how this all works together as a piece, is we have our five senses.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do you know how this works?
Yeah, so we take in everything that's external or everything that's around us. We have our five senses. Their sole purpose is to take those things in, and they get sent in. What part of the brain do they go to?
Amygdala!
Perfect. So that little tiny almond takes in all those senses, and that little amygdala is in charge of kind of saying, hey, this sense or this external situation is safe or it's unsafe.
Right.
And then once it decides that, it goes to the rest of
Sense of
Yeah,
signal
right.
to the rest of the brain. And it's automatic. That's key.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once your amygdala is triggered and it says there's something wrong. Now the key word here is what it perceives.
Right.
Because this is where anxiety kind of plays into it. Because what we perceive, sometimes anxiety tells us something is wrong and something is dangerous and it perceives it that way, but sometimes it's really not. Anxiety is, I call it trickster sometimes. It can play tricks on us, okay? And that's important to know because we're going to be working a lot with that on how to get a better understanding of what our anxiety is telling us, okay? But this is your basic brain science. So it goes in there and tells us, and then it sends out this big rush. They call it neurochemicals throughout our entire body. Okay. Some of those chemicals are like the cortisol. That's a stress-related hormone.
Right.
Okay. And what it does, and we're going to talk a lot about this in our next video, but it sets up an automatic reaction, and everybody has a different reaction, and that's very important to know. Okay. So we have to understand how we are reacting, and have an understanding how other people might be reacting, because we are always interacting with each other.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's tough because, not exactly tough, but our brains are obviously inside of us. So right now, I see you, I see that you and I are different. I don't see your brain, so it's harder for me to see, oh, like her brain's different, and her amygdala is different. So her reaction to what's going on in her life is going to be different.
Right.
So, and
yeah,
I guess that's
it is. And the really cool thing about this is that you will see, like, there's even more pages of this wonderful book, okay? But what happens is that they've done like MRIs, and like we said, for the older crowd there, they've done research, okay? And they've shown pictures. They have somebody go into this machine, and it takes pictures of their brain as it's working. And they've done these research, and it shows that when you show people pictures of things that are typical fearful, their amygdala lights up, bing, okay, like a big light bulb, happens inside your brain. But the wonderful thing they also noticed, that as soon as any other parts of our brain, especially this orange, the prefrontal cortex, once that is ignited and we start doing things that use these parts of our brain, the amygdala dims down. Okay, it loses its power and control that it has over the brain. It lightens, it stops sending that automatic signal that something is wrong to the rest of us. So the key thing, and you're going to notice this when we talked about in the next part of the series, we're going to focus on getting to use all these other parts of our brain. Because the more we use all parts of our brain, the healthier and balanced and regulated that we'll be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of brings it together, that anxiety system that we brought up in the first video of this is the first part, our brain, and we'll move forward by bringing it to what does that mean for our body, and what does that mean for our perception of anxiety.
Right. So stay tuned. So attached to this is going to be a wonderful, there's going to be videos about brains, about the changing balance in brain, and also we're going to be doing a worksheet on neuroplasticity. Because this is very important. We totally forgot about this.
Yes.
I'm so glad I looked at our corrections. Okay. So neuroplasticity, what is that? It's a really big word. That means that our brain has the ability to change. Okay? Because what happens is when we have anxiety, we have one pathway that keeps getting highlighted, and we use it over and over and over again. But the wonderful thing about neuroplasticity is when we try something new, we do something different, new pathways are developed in our brain, new ways of self-care, new ways of coping. So what we're going to encourage you to do is try some new things, and we're going to work with you on how to do that, okay? We're going to create change within our brain, because it's 100% very possible, very doable, and we're going to work on that.
Yeah, it's kind of like exercise.
Absolutely. We're going to exercise your brain.
That's what we're here for. All right. Well, thank you for listening.